Wave Runner, the editor in his attic. After seeing an idiotic Daffy Duck meme video, this crazy core finally decided to sit down and watch the second anime of his life, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. What happens next will decide the fate of how he edits the rest of this video.
でもウォークマンは好きだがね。
Rise and shine, sleepyhead. You've got a lot of fan mail to sort through. Fan mail? For you? You're only the editor. What did you expect? You're basically on the same level of Hollywood writer when it comes to getting credit.
Let's see the progress on that Q&A and season finale. Oh, for the love of Sombra, it's already started?So after only a few months of no episodes, which is way too short for me, of course, let's get the obvious jokes out of the way. I'm sure that we're all bursting at the seams for this episode being out.
No!
What the? Yay. I thought we were going to set up that blind date for Wambu next week.
Too obvious a joke! Gotta talk about My Little Pony!
How'd you even get here? Am I in your house again?
Technically, yes and no. I installed a new archway into your tent that connects directly to my house.
Okay. So, this episode is about the new baby who is an alicorn.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 alicorns! Congratulations, MLP! You've jumped the shark! Oh wait, the show jumped the shark back when Twilight became an alicorn, and the show is still fine. Never mind, move along!
Unfortunately, due to this new baby's new abilities, all of Tartarus is about to break loose with a huge storm moving in on the Crystal Empire. Meanwhile, Starlight Glimmer, now a student of Twilight, has to face her first friendship lesson by reuniting with her old friend that caused Starlight to freak out in the first place, Sunburst.
Who I am convinced is a younger version of Star Swirl the Bearded, calling it now!
First, let's talk about the—
Oh, I'm sorry. It's time to take a break so that Crimson can answer your questions.
What?
Oh yes, you see, because it's been taking so long for you to answer your Q&A, I figured I'd mash them into one video.
That sounds like a terrible idea that would convolute the entire
So here's the first question. Why are you an evil overlord?
I use the term evil loosely because I don't really like how the Royal Sisters rule, the Crystal Empire doesn't do anything, and Twilight has become the only princess that does anything. Truly anything. I think of myself as a necessary evil, something that might not be the most conventional way of doing something, but has to be done. And it just sounds funnier. Can we move on with the episode, please?
Too many questions! We need to ask one more!
Please?
Fine.
Anyway, the writing in this episode is nicely paced, with plenty of great things that the fandom has been asking for a long time. Celestia and Luna and Cadance are finally doing stuff, the royal couple is finally showing some flaws, and it's nice to see a new character that isn't such a blank slate.
I absolutely love how crazy Shining Armor is in this episode. This is probably almost exactly how I would be acting if I was a father.
Cadance also feels more like a mom in this episode, even if there's not a whole lot of screen time with her doing so. That is one of the criticisms I have for this episode, that Cadance isn't really shown as more of a mother figure or an inexperienced mother. Though there are a few questions now raised because of this episode. Like, if Celestia and Luna weren't born alicorns, as maybe this episode has implied, then how did they become alicorns? What happened to Sunburst in his time at magic school? How did he become Celestia's pupil, and why did he fail at it? What does this mean for Starlight's training?
All of this and more will likely not be revealed in this episode because most of it is establishing the new status quo more than resolution. Also, this does raise one more question.
What?
Have you ever been at a convention?
Really?
Have you ever been at a convention?
Yes, I have. I went to the first annual Pacific PonyCon and Comic-Con. I'm trying to get to Anime Expo. It was a lot of fun to do those conventions, and at PonyCon, I got to see my favorite brony analyst. It was so much fun. I even got to burn Josh. I know that you said that it isn't bad to ask for attention when it's not at someone else's expense, right? I would argue, though, and say that the only exception to said rule is when it's at Josh Scorcher's expense.
Oh no!
Worth it! Anyway, another criticism I have with this episode is that we get a little too much exposition. It sometimes feels like too much, like when Starlight flashes back to when Sunburst left. It's a little bit of a nitpick, but it's still a little bothersome to me. For the most part, the focus is less about the main six and more about Starlight in this episode. Twilight might give Starlight a list of how to do the lesson, but her involvement is lacking besides that. They do address it in the episode, but they actually address it in a very strange way, like how teacher has become student and student has become teacher.
My problem with the episode is that, as wonderfully paced as it is, it has a bad habit of jumping all over the place. There's Twilight and the baby, the main six in shining armor, Starlight and Star Swirl Sunburst. Jumping around is especially bad in the first part, where it feels like the episode has ADD. Oh man, look at the adorable Alicorn baby. Oh, look at that! Starlight's about to meet Sunburst again! Also, I am thoroughly convinced at this point that the Crystal Ponies are idiots. Your castle is having holes blown into it, and you're calling it fireworks?
Sunset just bursts into tears, and it's kind of irritating to me because there's no build-up. There's no sadness, there's no more anxiety, there's no anger. These would all be great, but they don't show that as he continues to be pressed on by Starlight. We just get a sudden burst, that's it. Although there are some people that just suddenly burst into tears because they're holding something for so long. Moving on to the rest of the characters.
Speaking of characters, besides Silver Quill and Dr. Wolf, who would you want to collaborate with?
There's so many. Toon Critic would be one. He seems like a really fun person to work with. Obviously Firebrand, but that's without asking. Canned Cream might be fun to do, and so would ANY. Golden Fox might be one to do too, because he and I could debate a lot of things. Also Doodle Dabble, but I would only hesitate on the fact that she would be drawing me in her style, and I hesitate to do that because I don't know how that would translate.
You could always just get your hooves on that spell Twilight used to go into the book with Doodle.
1, I don't know that spell. 2, it is very hard to do with hooves. Let's talk about the characters in this episode. Most of the focus is on Starlight. She wants to turn a new leaf, and as Twilight's student, she kinda has already, but doesn't really have the confidence in herself to see that she is trying to do that. It's also nice to see that her as a character with her manipulation still hasn't completely gone away. I honestly think that this is how Sunset Shimmer would act in a similar situation, and she has even acted like this in several occasions, though the difference being that Sunset only has the humane 5 to help, and now she's helping someone else, whereas Starlight is primarily only being taught by Twilight.
One thing I did notice is that whether it being at the fault of the episode jumping around or not, you did get to see all of the characters doing something. Fluttershy, Rainbow Dash, and Applejack were trying to quell the crowd to get them to safety to varying degrees of success. Twilight, Cadance, and Shining Armor were looking for ways to repair the Crystal Heart, while also trying to keep Flurry Heart under control. Luna and Celestia were busy keeping the storm at bay, and Starlight and Spike were going back and forth between talking to Sunburst and moping like an emo git.
Speaking of Spike, he's actually a good character in this episode. Most other episodes with Spike, he shines the best as an assistant. He even knows that Starlight is just stalling for time, but he goes along with it only because he knows it's an ego booster, and also because it'll get her to calm down for a little bit. Most other episodes with Spike involve him learning something that he either already learned prior episodes, or is just him causing a problem and not learning anything. Another great part about this episode is the fact that the chemistry between Starlight and Spike is a lot better than anything Twilight and Spike got to. I mean, yes, Twilight and Spike were great as like friends and as an assistant, but honestly, it feels a lot more organic with Starlight and Spike. There's this competitive understanding between the two. Here, it's... Oh, come on!
He may not learn anything, but it's time to learn something else about you. Are there other animated shows you like besides this show?
How is this even relevant?
Hey, your fans ask, not me.
Yes, I like other shows. Some classic ones like SWAT Cats, other shows like Gravity Falls, Steven Universe, Teen Titans, the original of course, Adventure Time, some animes like Princess Tutu, Fate Zero, Madoka Magica, and Ouran Host Club, stuff like that. Now can we please move on with the review?
We got a ton of questions, Crimson. I will be back with more.
I'd like to have a reminder of why I date you. As I was saying, Spike in this episode feels like he's learned from being with Twilight, and he knows how to get things done, even admitting to the fact that the list might not be such a great idea. Cadance and Shining Armor also get a bit of character reveal. Cadance is put into a situation where she doesn't know what to do, which makes her a bit overwhelmed, especially since there's the baby around. Shining Armor is shown to be a very dedicated father, but is also overwhelmed. With the baby getting this cancellation magic though, I feel like Cadance and Shining Armor will likely lose this characterization and go back to being the perfect couple. Which is sad because this is the first time that Cadance and Shining Armor got any type of character development in the plot.
I don't know. I mean, on the one hand, you could think about it that way, but on the other, you still have to acknowledge the fact that Flurry is going to grow up into a filly at some point. And maybe she'll get some help from the Cutie Mark Crusaders to discover her cutie mark. But in the meantime, children, powerful magic or not, are a handful and a half. As my significant other here would likely be able to attest. Am I right, babe?
Oh, yes, my cousin. Ugh. But when this is likely the last season for a long while, we probably aren't going to get that development or even see this little filly grow.
I don't know. The main six are slowly but surely reaching their apex in character development. Rarity has her carousel in Canterlot, Twilight has ascended from student to teacher, Applejack is... well, she's always been content with what she's been doing. Rainbow Dash is ever closer to becoming a Wonderbolt. Fluttershy is finally becoming her own pony and can do things without help from others. And Pinkie Pie is... well, still Pinkie Pie. There is almost no potential for stories to be told with these characters anymore. It's very obvious that Hasbro will likely take Starlight Glimmer and eventually make her the main character, putting her in the town with the other ponies that were introduced in Season 5. The cycle will never end!
We can only hope for that at least. Anyway, we should keep moving with this episode, starting with the I'm going to kill you.
Love you too, sweetie. What analysts have you...
What?
What other analysts have you seen yourself getting shipped with?
Well, I don't really see that much fan art of me in general, but I know that there's one with Foxwell, one with Gordo, one with Sapphire Heartsong.
You drew that one yourself!
Actually, I was talking about the one made by Manga Common.
There's two?
Though that one has me, Sapphire, and Fallen Wish. If there is more fan art of me, please link it into...
Throw the fan art into the depths of Tartarus! Crimson's my waifu! No pony can have her!
Link it into the comments below. I'd love to see it.
Oh, you would.
Let's talk about the visuals. Starting with Dumbo. I mean Flurry Heart. She's not horribly designed. She looks like a mix of Shining Armor and Cadance, and she's just kind of adorable. She's not completely unforgettable in design, but she's cute. Sunburst is probably one of the very few ponies that we've seen with markings of any kind, which is always fun in itself. His contrasting coat complements Starlight's very well, and seeing him in a bit of a disarray is more character building than anything else. The ponies were obviously a shout out to any fan. They were really fun. They're showed varying in age, types of collectors, analysts, observers, and then there's the little shadow in that last scene of the episode, which is a little bit of a foreshadowing, I would think.
You sent me flying so hard, I orbited around the entire rift.
Good.
That is a question that needs answering, though. What is it? It's obviously not an animation error based on how it's just in a straight line towards the castle. It's possibly Sombra because in the comics it hints that he's still alive in a sense.
But the show has no obligation to going along with any of the comics. Besides, even if they did, bringing him back with the same logic as the comics then, that would mean that all the comics would become canon, wouldn't it? Which would either cancel out a few things, or this would add only way too many plot points in each arc, and it would just be this big, confusing Zelda timeline. I don't know which link is which. Oh, Ocarina of Time. I don't. Why is there boots? Why is there boats?
But that does bring up a good point about the episode, though. Would you say that this episode has too many plot points that it loses focus? Or are the plot points concise enough to all contribute to the same arc? I can see arguments for both sides of the argument, much like how people argue that Slice of Life is a horrible, unfocused mess that strays too far from a cohesive story and instead shoves fan service in the audience's faces, while others could argue that everything was able to tie together nicely because of the wedding. So, which camp would you fall under in this premiere?
Well, in this episode, it did work. Probably better than Slice of Life. No, definitely better than Slice of Life. With Slice of Life, it was supposed to be a show of the chaos of life, not being connected, but at the same time coming together for one large meeting. With the Crystalling, it makes sense for there to be two different stories. For this one conclusion to develop Starlight, Sunburst, Cadance, and Shining Armor. It feels a bit jumpy at first, but it didn't really dilute the story in my opinion.
Well, I guess that's that then. All around, it's a good premiere. The animation was beautiful as always, the characters still a lot of fun. Flurry Heart is just... God, the adorbs are real. And Starlight? I'm still on the fence about her, but it's a step in the right direction at least.
I wouldn't go around saying that's the best premiere ever, but as anything involving the Crystal Empire, it's a vast improvement. It was well paced, a little jumpy, nice to look at, and overall a nice way to open up a new season. The characters were fun, and they were very involved. This has...
Looks like we have time for one more question before we wrap this up for After the End slate.
Let's get this one over with.
Let's see. Oh, this one is actually from me.
I'm going to hate this, aren't I?
Depends on how comfortable you are with answering this. Why are you a Pinto? You seem to be a very rare breed of pony in Equestria. Were you born this way, or is there a reason?
No, I wasn't born this way. If anyone has seen my Magic Sheep review and my review on the Hooffields and the McColts, you'd know that my real name is Scarlet Hope Glow, and my original color scheme was red and purple.
So then, why did the purple turn black?
Let's just say, ponies can be very curious when they're younger.
Still though, why did you take the name Crimson instead of stick with the name Scarlet? I love the name Scarlet!
Oh, that's very simple.
Scarlet Heart.
Yeah.
Scarlet Cosmo.
Yeah.
Scarlet Diamond.
Here.
Scarlett Johansson. Scarlet Glow.
Can you just call me Crimson? There's too many Scarlets, please. There are too many. It was a very popular name at the time.
Whatever you say, Scarlet.
This has been your future evil overlord, Crimson Glow.
And I'm Blazer Terabad. Look forward to seeing me sticking around from now on.
Where's Wave?
Oh, he's still around. I'm just hanging out because I love you.
Shut up.
Say it.
No.
Come on.
Baka. If you wish to see more questions be answered, then stick around. If not, just move on and see some of my other lovely videos.
if you think about it, that tent of yours is always jumping around everywhere. So you could just teleport to my place if you lose your tent again.
I could, but I like walking. So let's see this Q&A.
Now that the important questions are out of the way, let's talk about what your favorite and least favorite episode is.
I don't really like labeling episodes as my favorite or my least favorite, because when you realize that one episode is your favorite, there's a lot of things that you realize in another episode they do right. For example, Lost Treasure of Griffinstone is probably my favorite episode with creatures outside of Equestria and delving into that culture, whereas Cutie Maps is my favorite opening of a season. My least favorite use of a villain is probably Crystal Empire. My least favorite use of Spike is Princess Spike, and my least favorite introduction of a new character into the show is Ghostbusters. If I were to list them all, we'd be here all day.
Fair enough. Ooh, I like this one. Favorite movies and or video games.
I like Undertale and Guild Wars 2. I don't really have a specific movie I fall back on.
Okay, let's see. Hate mail, troll mail that should be thrown into a your grammar sucks video. Ooh, here's a good one. Why do you use magic with your hooves instead of a horn, and do you use dark magic?
I have dark magic because of an event that won't be explained until I get to 3,000 subscribers.
You are shameless.
Also because I'm a unicorn without a horn.
Wait, what? How does that work?
My horn never developed in the womb.
So your horn is in your hooves? Holy tartars, that sounds like it would hurt walking.
Not really.
Oh. Okay then. Next letter! Dear Crimson, have you seen the previous generations of MLP? If so, what do you think of them?
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay then, Dear Crimson, what do you think of sea ponies? Is that a thing?
Sirens. I wish there were another Merpony or Sea Ponies. I kind of predicted that we would get something before Rainbow Rocks and then Sirens happened. But I would really love to see that in one of the new seasons. Or in this season.
It's just too bad the only evidence of sea ponies were those three, and they're villains. And likely will never be seen again. Anyways, let's see here. Have you heard of Fallout Equestria?
No, I haven't, but it looks awesome.
It's a crossover between My Little Bucking Pony and Fallout. I'm a person who used to be okay with grimdark stories for this franchise, but as time went on, I came to embrace the slice of life aspects of fanfiction more and more. I have read some of Fallout Equestria, and okay, while it's not that bad, there is a lot of stuff in there that I could swear is there just to get a shock out of the reader, and I hate people who write things into their stories just for shock factor alone.
Okay.
Sorry, didn't mean to hijack that from you. Let's see. Okay. Anyways, Dear Crimson, what kind of pet would your OC have?
Puppy!
Okay, fair enough. Dear Crimson, do you know about the MLP comics?
Yes, and Fiendship #1 is my favorite villain backstory.
Okay, let's see. How the heck did that get in there? Anyways, who are your biggest influences?
A lot. Josh Scorcher, Aura Mage, Silver Quill, Toon Critic, Finn the Ponies, Keyframe, Lightning Bliss, Ink Rose, Lily Pete, and Eliora. Also Toph, Elphaba, and Sombra. Those are probably the front runners.
That's a lot.
Next!
Favorite music?
I really like rock, but I won't turn my nose to acapella, Broadway, classical, flugelhorn. Country, rap, hip-hop, or even pop music if it suits me. My favorite music to cover, though, is mostly parodies, belters, and it's just something with a really nice rhythm.
I hate rap so much.
Too bad!
Ugh. How did you become a fan?
As soon as I saw Nightmare Moon's backstory, oh my god.
Fair enough. Looks like that's all of them. The only other letter is someone asking what the story behind your character is, but you already mentioned the 3,000 subscribers thing.
Thanks everyone for being so involved with my work. It's felt so great to have you here with me for as short of a time maybe as I was here, but I continue to thank you so much for watching my videos. By no means is this the end, even if the season ends, because I am going to try my best to get content out. whatever it may be. Thank you so much for watching. This has been your future evil overlord, Crimson Glow, and just thanks. You're all such beautiful people. Thank you so much.
Aw, you getting all sappy for your audience.
Shut up.